It's fight night. Welcome to the UWC, the Ultimate Whiskey Championship, sponsored by Golf Cask. Time for a crack.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the UWC. That's right, the Ultimate Whiskey Championship. Our battle tonight is Elijah Craic single barrel, and mine is a 10-year-old versus Bulleit bourbon single barrel. Both of them are coming out of Kentucky. I think it's Shelbyville for Bulleit, and I think Heaven Hill, which is in Bardstown, for Elijah Craic. So those are the distillers. Little insight on the two. Again, Elijah Craic is the best story in bourbon is they came up with the creation of toasted barrels or charred barrels to store whiskey. Still don't know if it's completely true or not, but it's a damn good story. So Elijah Craic has that going for him. And then Bulleit is a younger whiskey. And I think it is actually the #1 whiskey inside of California. So a younger whiskey, but again, has it's a high rye, a lot of flavorful spice. Elijah Craic is just a pinnacle of really good bourbon. So this is going to be a true bourbon versus a high rye. And this is actually being done, I put this out to the masses, and we had a bunch of different battles being picked, and kind of at the very end, one of our members inside of Golf Cask, I'll just say first name, Tony, went ahead and said, I'd love to see this battle. You know what? You're a member, you got some pull. Let's do it. So we actually went ahead and pulled this battle. Bulleit has already fought once inside of the UWC and lost to Wild Turkey Rare Breed. Both really good, a lot of rye, a lot of punch. I like both. But again, I thought by the flavor and the taste, it was just a little bit better with the Wild Turkey. And then the fans have voted in on this one already, and this was a blowout. I mean, it wasn't even close by fan voting. It was almost 3-1. Elijah Craic blew up Bulleit inside the fan voting. So Elijah Craic is already on the scorecard, judges card, having one win. It comes down to me to either tie it or produce a winner. And what we do say is if you win by 2, it is actually a TKO. So if two judges, if you win by judges card and 2 ahead, this would be a TKO. If we had an extra judge, it was basically if they won by 3 or more, depending on how the judging's going, that would be a KO. So this could be a possible technical knockout this afternoon. So let's dive in here. Once again, blind, colored glasses. I don't want to know what is what. So we have a red one and we have a green one. And then I have my water here in the middle. I've added my new decoy. This is in honor of my grandfather, who was a huge whiskey fan. He passed. I was going through some boxes in the shed as we're trying to do some clean out, and I found some of his old decoys. I actually have one of the other mallard decoys over there they used to use for hunting. So I dropped that on the barrel. Just as a reminder of family, we have our putter. I don't know which one this is, so it's putt for show, drive for dough, or is it drive for show and putt for dough? We're gonna find out which one's which. So without further ado, let's dive in here and do a tasting. You don't wanna watch me sip and drink, so we'll speed this up to make everything a little quicker, a little happier, and let's go. I'm excited. I get to drink whiskey. All right, let's talk about these two. Really good. I like both. So inside the scoring system, I'm going to tell you right now, I would buy any of these. Well, I did buy these for this competition, but I would drink these at any time. One of them's a little more alcohol-y bite compared to the other, and one has more of a peppery cinnamon spice compared to the other. So again, I think discerning which one is which is actually pretty simple, knowing which two these are. I would definitely say this one's Bulleit, and I would definitely say this one is Elijah Craic, just off of flavor profiles in the nose. What's fun is when you actually test two whiskeys at the same time, kind of back and forth, one whiskey can override the other. or it can actually pair together and bring out flavors and noses and changing those components. These two whiskeys actually collaborated really well and kind of played off each other. So if you remember the Rocktown, we did Rocktown versus Four Roses a few weeks back. The Rocktown just shocked Four Roses, just made it very plain and bland. These two actually brought out some notes that I normally don't get when I'm tasting these whiskeys, which is kind of interesting. So by the nose, which one won? Well, disproportionately, by the nose, I would actually say pretty similar, but this one, after I actually nosed this one and came back to this one, this brought out sweeter notes. This one had sweet maple syrup. It had lots of vanilla, definitely some oak kind of flavoring on the nose. This one was just more of a sugar sweet, not a maple syrup sweet, but sweet nonetheless. Pulling off kind of that more sweetness. This is giving me a little complexity of nose, but by the nose, I would definitely go with the green glass. Red is good. And again, the funny part is, after nosing the green and tasting the green and coming back, the actual red actually became more flavorful by the nose, which was very exciting, kind of cool. Again, they work very well together. By taste, which one do I like? Well, the Elijah Craig, which again I think is green, is pushing 130. Bulleit is about 120, so I think this one is a higher proof, but it drinks more like a low proof. I would say this drinks more like 100, 110. I think Bulleit drinks all of 120. It's a little bitey, it's a little punchy. You got the spices, but there's definitely a harshness to it that is just not here in the 10-year Elijah Craig. Again, I could be completely wrong and you can laugh at me. And then finish. The finish overall, I would say, is very similar in duration, but again, I think the green just gave you a little bit more complexities. I had sweetness, I had oak. Again, it was just a very smooth whiskey, sat on the tongue, hung out there for a little bit. Really, really good. The red, it was okay. It was a good finish. It goes from pepper right into a sweetness that kind of hangs out for a little bit. I really like. But overall, I think kind of nose, taste, finish. I love the fact that they were in simpatico and they kind of enhanced each other, which was kind of cool. But I would definitely have to go green. And again, if green is Elijah Craig, it's a TKO today, baby. That'll be the first one of the year. But let's look in here real quick and let's give it a rating system. Red, I'm going to go 3, which is a par, right? Our rating system is 1 is a lost ball, double bogey plus. 5 is a hole-in-one eagle. 4 is a birdie. 3 is a par. 2 is a bogey. I would say this is a good par. This is a 3. It's a good whiskey. It would definitely be good in cocktails. It would be good just drinking neat. There is a lot of spice and pepper to it, which I really, really like, but it has just a little bit of harshness and I'd say a little simpler on the palate. This one, it's just a really good bourbon. A very sweet, very vanilla, very upfront. Doesn't have the spice. It doesn't have the high rye content that I like in a lot of my whiskeys, but it's okay, right? It's different. I love the fact that it's different. This to me is just a high-end, good quality bourbon. So I'm gonna go with a 4. So this will be my first 4 I've given out so far. So I'm going Elijah Craig 4. I'm assuming Elijah Craig. Bulleit 3, and I think that holds up to with what I tested Bulleit in the past. I don't know. I'll have to go back and look, and maybe I'm a moron. But so I'm going to go 4-3. I'm saying putting is much more important than actually hitting it off the tee. Let's find out. I can't pull them together, so. Ooh, Bulleit. And then henceforth, Elijah Craig. So if you're a good bourbon fan and you really like bourbons, I would say go try to find Elijah Craig when you can. It's usually in the $80 range if you buy it at a kind of state-controlled ABC. If you're in privateers or secondary markets, they get very, very expensive. But you can find some good Elijah Craigs out there. Just be patient. Don't overpay. But be patient. They're out there. Bulleit, to me, is a little easier to find. And again, like I said, it is the #1 whiskey in California, which is kind of cool. But overall, I would say, again, the Elijah Craig is just really, really good. So this is 130 proof, or 128. This was actually a select by the Virginia ABC 10-year. Really, really good whiskey. Like I said, really, really good bourbon, which is nice. And again, I know people hate on Bulleit, and I know people I've gotten a couple shots by friends and family and members inside of Golfcast that you talk Bulleit too much. Bulleit's a good whiskey, especially for those that are starting in this journey that want to start to play around with high rise and start to see what some of the different flavor profiles there are out there. And I've always said that Bulleit was kind of that entry whiskey for me to come into the system. It really showed me that there was a difference, what high rye really tasted like. And so I always have a soft place for Bulleit, but there are better whiskeys that have the Bulleit profile, that have a little more complexities and things along that lines. But again, it is a good whiskey, so lay off, man. There's no bad whiskeys, there's just bad people judging whiskeys. Yeah, why not? I hope this is helpful. So again, we're gonna go Elijah Craig 4, Bulleit 3. Enjoy. So that's our first TKO. Let's see who our next fight night is. I actually put out, I think yesterday or the day before, and we're going into I think we're in the featherweight division. And I think what was leading it, I actually put all 8 featherweights that we have. And I think Green Spot and Green River. So a bourbon Irish pot still battle looks to be the next fight, which is going to be kind of cool. Because again, inside of UCW, we don't care. We will fight across different genres, across different grains. The only thing that kind of matters is that you got to be roughly in the same proof category. But other than that, there's no bars. You know, again, it's let's see who the best whiskey is, and it'll be exciting. And also inside of the blend, Gareth and I had our first street fight where we took 2 whiskeys, we tasted and battled and talked smack back and forth over. So that's in the blend. Go follow that. And I think we did John Powers 12-year-old, John Lane Powers 12 versus Whistle Pig 6. Because again, in Ireland, they don't get a lot of rye, so I put a little rye on them and see what we got. It was a very entertaining contest, and I have to say Gareth was completely wrong. But you know, he's Irish. What do you expect? So again, really good whiskeys here, really good fun. Keep in mind with the UCW, make sure you put in different fights. And if you go to golfcast.com, which is kind of our informational website, I have created a UWC, and I've put 8 fighters in each category. So we have 5 categories of weight classes: featherweights 80 to 90, 90 to 100 for lightweights, 100 to 110 would be middleweights, 110 to 120 would be light heavyweights, and then heavyweights are 120 plus. Look at the list. If there's a bottle or 2 you think I need to go find and put into that category, let me know. And like I said, we're going to start to build a championship roster, and then we're going to have championship fights. We're going to bring in guest judges. So you as a member inside of Golfcast, if you are a member inside of Golfcast TV, you might be tapped on the shoulder to come join us for a big judging night when our big battles start to happen, because we're going to have big cards just like the UFC has big cards. We're going to have UWC, 1, and we're going to bring in a bunch of different weight classes, a bunch of championship fights, and we're going to have a bunch of blasts with this. So make sure you keep giving us input. Follow us on Instagram, Golfcast, @Golfcast. Follow us at Golfcast TV for membership. And again, informational stuff right now is sitting inside of golfcast.com. And also inside of Golfcast TV, make sure you notice our wonderful mapping system. We're starting to give you distilleries, golf courses, pubs, certified by Gameforge, or not Gameforge, by Golfcast. We go out there and we've actually tested a bunch of pubs in Ireland to make sure our system worked, and it worked great. Roughly 36 pubs have been hit over the last 2 years. What we do for you, the fan, we love you. And then also we're starting to add that inside of the States. We have tons and tons of events that are going to start showing up, so make sure you go look and come join us. Thank you so much, and once again, Elijah Craig, TKO. We'll see y'all next fight night.